we are at Play Expo Blackpool. I've been to loads of events all across the UK before, but I've never been to this one, and I've actually heard that it's one of the best in the whole of the UK. So let's take the camera inside and see whether that's true. It was so good to be back at Play Expo. This was the first proper gaming event that I'd been to since 2020, and it felt fantastic to be back there in person. It was just so great to be able to just relax and play on all of the different consoles and arcades that they had on display, as well as do a bit of game shopping, of course. I also met so many amazing people over the weekend, and the whole thing was honestly the most fun that I've had since 2020. I've got so much footage to show you, but let's begin right at the start with the amazing arcade section. Of course I had to start with playing some Sega classics. No one did the arcades better than Sega. There was actually a lot of really interesting cabinets there as well, which I just had to check out, including this one here called Baby Pac-Man, which is a really interesting take on the original arcade game, which includes both a Pac-Man game on the top and a proper fully functioning pinball table on the bottom. It sounds really cool, but the execution did leave a lot to be desired. Another machine I was really excited to find was the Nintendo PlayChoice 10. This is basically a NES console in arcade hardware. There was a load of really cool games on there to choose from, including Duck Hunt and one of my personal favourite games, Mega Man 3. They also had the Nintendo Punch-Out cabinet as well, which is completely different to the NES game. This one actually takes full advantage of the arcade hardware, so it was really interesting to play that, even if it is completely different to the console version. And speaking of consoles, there was a fantastic range of consoles on display too, so let's go and check some of those out. As you can see, there was just an overwhelming amount of systems to play on. Even over the 2 days, I still didn't even play half of them. Luckily, I did manage to try out some of the really interesting and obscure consoles. First up is the PCFX, a follow-up to the amazing PC Engine. Unfortunately, this one didn't do nearly as well, but I did get to play this amazing side-scrolling action game. I really loved this, and if I ever do get a PCFX for myself, I'll definitely try and track down a copy of this one. Another system that I was super excited to see was the Car Marty. This is a special car version of the FM Towns Marty, which was another Japan exclusive system. Sadly, I didn't get much footage of this one though. The FM Towns is a system that I hardly know anything about. Maybe I'll try and track one down next time I'm in Japan. And that was just a brief look at the incredible array of consoles that were here on display. And speaking of great games, the next part of the show that I want to show you all is the indie games area. There was a great selection of indie and homebrew games on show, which I was very pleased to see. Wave Game Studios were there showing off some of their Dreamcast titles, and Alistair from Low Tech Games was also there showing off some of his new NES games. It was great to meet these developers in person for the first time, and Alistair even let me have a go on the Playdate, which is a really cool console, and I can't wait to get my hands on my own one. There was also the Homebrew Games panel, which I actually recorded the entire thing, and you can watch the full hour-long discussion over on my gameplay channel, so check the link in the description if you want to watch the full thing. It was a really interesting and fascinating talk, and I highly recommend it if you're into your indie or homebrew games. And right next to the indie area was the main stage. Trista Bytes did a fantastic job all weekend keeping everybody entertained. She was joined up there by Jason Bradbury from Gadget Show fame, along with some other special guests during the event. I even went up on stage at one point to show off my Donkey Konga skills.
Please, would you like to come and show us your musical skills, my friend? Have you played this game before?
A lot.
Excellent, we're starting with a pro. Lightning fast reflexes, your face of concentration right there.
It was just great to have this always going on in the background throughout the whole show. I especially enjoyed watching the creator of Doom, John Romero, take on people at his own game.
Another frag to done.
Just behind the main stage was the pinball area, and while I don't really know that much about pinball, it's always really fun to just go and play and get mesmerised by the sounds and the flashing lights for a while. Now back to the games I know and love. On the other side of the hall, just before the trading hall, there was a section dedicated to retro computers. Here I found an amazing racing game called Screamer 2. I enjoyed this one so much that I actually bought myself a copy on eBay when I got back home. And speaking of buying games, just through the door here was the trading hall. Right, let's go do some shopping. There was such a fantastic selection of vendors, all with reasonable prices, and everyone was so friendly too. I picked up some amazing games here, which you can actually see in the pickups episode that I released last week. I always love walking around and digging through games at these events. Of course, one of my favourite stalls at any of these events is Alan's Retro Games, and I picked up some incredible Japanese Sega Saturn games from here. Check out my pickups episode if you want to find out what they were. In this hall, we also got to try out some of Numskull's new arcade machines, and I also did a quick interview with them as well, which was really fun. In fact, Chris, who is the person interviewing me here, was actually the person who got me the press passes so I could come and film here in the first place. So Chris, if you're watching, thank you so much for the opportunity. And while we're doing thank yous, thank you as well so much to my friends Jack and Callum, who very kindly helped me film the show over the weekend. Somehow I managed to take 6 hours of footage and cut it down to just 6 minutes. I'm sure you'll agree it was an amazing event, but is it the best the UK has to offer? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this and want to hear even more from my experience at the show, I also made a behind the scenes podcast episode where I go into loads of detail about the logistics of filming an episode like this and some of the other fun stuff that we got up to over the weekend as well. I really hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all again very soon for the next one. Goodbye.